Recently, I've had just a slight addiction to replaying the golden era Need for Speed games, but with all of the mods under the goddamn sun. And when I say golden era, I really mean these four, which in my opinion represent some of the best racing games of all time. Now gameplay wise, these will always be timeless. However, with their visuals, they are looking a little bit dated these days. But thanks to the excellent modding community, we can improve the visuals pretty much to the point where it looks like an official remaster. Now like so many others, I got started modding Need for Speed games via YouTube of all things. You've probably already noticed yourself that there's a bunch of these reduxed, remastered, re-whatever versions on YouTube with a download link for that specific mod in their description. And I have tried a bunch of these, and one thing that I noticed is that they generally all contain exactly the same mods. The difference between all of these different versions is that they're using reshade in addition to all of these mods to drastically change how the image looks to a specific preference, or as I like to call it, taking artistic liberties. For me personally, I'm definitely all about improving the visuals, HDifying, applying widescreen and quality of life updates, but without straying too far from the original dev intended look. So in this series of videos, I'm going to be showing you the absolute essential mods for all four of these games, but without taking things too far. So you know it's as dev intended as possible while looking as good as it can. Alternatively, you can use it as a really good starting point if you intend to ruin things with reshade. Of course, for this video, we're going to be starting at the beginning. So here are the 7 absolute essential mods for Need for Speed Underground 1 as of right now, and links for all of these will be in the description below. Mod number 1 is the widescreen fixes pack, definitely a foundational one as a bunch of other mods use it as a prerequisite. And of course, this is providing proper anamorphic 16:9. At the same time, it's scaling all of the HUD details and gauges to the edge of the screen without stretching them. However, this mod does a hell of a lot more than provide widescreen, and just calling it a widescreen mod is really an undersell. If we take a look at the text ini file for this one, you can see it's where you set your resolution, beyond what the game could originally do. I recommend you set this to 4K even if you're on a 1080p monitor, if your performance can do it. Believe me, you'll thank me later. You've also got the HUD scaling options here if you want to revert back to 4:3. Now this mist section actually has some pretty cool options that have nothing to do with widescreen. So we can choose to skip the intro and the language select when we start the game, which I fully recommend you do if you play this game a lot. The only other thing I really want to showcase in here is the improved gamepad support. This is a quality of life update, and it swaps out the keyboard icons for either PlayStation icons or Xbox icons. So if you're using a controller, you actually know what the buttons are. Everything else in here is pretty much straightforward, and these ini files contain really good descriptions of what these options actually do. So if I've skimmed past anything you wanted me to cover, just read it and you know what it does. Mod number 2 is the Extra Options Plus mod. Not really a visual enhancement, it's where you tailor make your gameplay experience to your personal preference, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. As you can see from the ini file for this one, there's quite a lot of different options. Some of this is just for debugging, in which case you probably shouldn't be touching it. Some of it is a bit more functional, and some of it's just for fun. So with this mod, you can add drift physics in any mode, which essentially allows you to use those drift mechanics in any track, which is super fun. You can add damage back into the game, which will make your windows and mirrors crack and your number plate fall off, which is pretty neat. You can also change your starting cash and your starting style points, but that's pretty surplus to requirements when you can just unlock everything with F5, which is really handy. Aside from that, I recommend that you take a look in this ini file and see if there's anything that you want to use or adjust. Mod number 3 is everybody's favourite, HD Reflections. This does transform the way the game looks, but in a good way. This mod isn't adding any additional HD textures, all it's doing is using a script to HDify what's already there. You can change how those HD reflections appear in the ini file if you want to, but down here we've got a couple of additional options. Realistic Chrome makes Chrome stuff look even more chromy, and Extend Tunnel Distance does exactly that, but to the tunnel that you see in the main menu, increasing its draw distance. Mod number 4 is the Extended Input mod. This doesn't just bring X input support, it also fixes a bunch of stuff and it pre-maps all of your controls, pretty much to exactly how you want them to be. And doing that yourself can be a bit of a task. So if you're on X input and you want the best controller support possible, I fully recommend this. Mod number 5 is Z-Patch. This is just a simple fix that prevents your game from crashing when you're saving. Mods 6 and 7 definitely need to be covered at the same time. So we've got the remastered UI, which does exactly that. It takes all of the menu elements and all of the HUD stuff and improves their visuals exponentially. This is a relatively new one and it's definitely been a long time coming. However, to be able to install this, you will also need to install the HD content support. This doesn't actually have any packs included, it just prepares your game to receive any additional HD content. So make sure that you have the HD content support mod installed first, and then you can install the remastered UI. Keep in mind the HD reflections pack does not need the HD content support to work. So if you've installed all of these mods, your scripts folder should look something like this. Now before I close out the video, I do just want to quickly mention the RTX Remix Mod. I didn't include this in the list for two reasons. Firstly, it's still in early access and it's not quite finished yet. And secondly, obviously you need an RTX card to be able to run it. But I still wanted to mention it in this video just in case you got an RTX card, which unfortunately I do not. And yes, it does look quite nice. Now of course there are a ton of other mods out there. Different cars, content, game modes, HD vinyl packs, it is never ending. But a lot of this stuff really does come down to personal preference if you want to use it or not, which is why I've shown you exactly the 7 mods that I've shown you in this video. These 7 bring the base game up into the modern era with their visuals and quality of life updates, but without taking things too far or applying the stuff that really comes down to user preference, giving you the best base to work from if you want to take things further, which is the entire point of these videos. And obviously in the next one, we're going to be covering Underground 2. And if you want to keep up to date with that, you know what to do. And if you like today's video, slam me a thumbs up. And apart from that, go play some games. Adios.